I'm Nora, and welcome back to Novels with Nora. Today's video is going to be a bit different, as this is going to be my second installment in my Becoming a Librarian series, and today I just wanted to sit down and talk to you about how things in the library science field are a little bit hard right now. And I want to make it very clear that I love this field. This is my dream and has been my dream for years, and I'm so happy to finally be here, but at the same time, it looks nothing like I thought it would because of everything that we are experiencing on a governmental level as well as just like a educational level, I guess. So I just wanted to talk about what the state of the library science field is looking like and how that is affecting me as a student, and I'm sure other students as well, and just kind of sit down, share my thoughts, because in my past videos where I've talked about becoming a librarian, I have gotten a few comments being like, I think I might want to go into this field, and I don't think it's fair for me to only show the good aspects of this field, because while there are so many, it's also hard. And I also recognize that it's hard because of things that are happening outside of the field that are impacting the field. And so I don't think it would be fair of me to only talk about the good things and be like, yes, this field is great, I'm having so much fun, I'm loving it, and then also in my private life being like, things are really hard. And so I just want to share those things. And this is not at all me being like, don't join this field, it's horrible, don't do it, because again, there's so many good things about library science and we need librarians. Like, librarians are needed. And so if you are interested in becoming a librarian, I encourage you to watch this and then reflect and think, okay, is this worth it? Because also I recognize that what's happening right now is not permanent, and because we won't let it be permanent, you know, things will get better because we will make them better. And so this is also just a call to you watching this to be kind to your librarians, recognize the troubles that they're going through right now and how it's not their fault. And if your library is experiencing hardships or shortages and whatever it may be that you're looking for, it's not the librarian's fault, it is the government's fault. It is the fault of the people who are trying to defund libraries and make it so much harder for libraries to get the resources they need, thus making it harder for you to get the resources you need. So I'm just going to talk about what it's truly like to be in the library science field right now as a current library and information science master's student. First, I want to start by saying that while I am in grad school to become a librarian, specifically a teen librarian, and I'm taking grad classes and I am actively working to become a librarian, I am not currently working in a library. However, in the past, I have worked in both a public library and an academic library, so I do have library experience. I am just not currently working in a library, and I also recognize the privilege of that. However, this is another place where things are hard for me right now because I'm not working in a library so that I have the ability to take a lot more classes than I normally would. I'm taking 4 classes in the fall, which is a really heavy load, especially for grad level courses, but at the same time, because I'm not working, I'm able to take that many classes. But because I'm taking this many classes, I'm not able to work. And another part of this, for me, an added layer of difficulty is that I don't have my license currently, and I don't have a car, so I can't drive myself to a job. However, I'm privileged enough to be living at home with my parents, and I don't have any financial responsibilities at the moment. Again, making me incredibly privileged to be able to just focus on classes. However, that puts me at a disadvantage going into the workforce because I am not actively working in a library. So I will have like a gap in my resume, which I don't think is a problem because I'm focusing fully on school, which is, again, a huge privilege, and I fully recognize that, but it at times feels like a double-edged sword because I'm in this class, and another thing we'll get to is comparison with the other students. I'm in all of these classes and people are like, oh yeah, I've been working at this library for this many years, or I just got this great new job at this library, and it's like my dream job, and they're like, and I'm absolutely loving it, and I have all this experience in these positions, and I don't have that. And yes, I've worked in libraries in the past, but always in like the lowest level position possible because I didn't have my master's degree, which is what I'm currently working towards. So it feels like, well, I'm at a disadvantage when I go to apply for jobs in the future because I don't have as much experience as the other people who are going to be, in a way, my competitors for these jobs because they currently have the experience while also getting their degree. So it's like, on one hand, I'm so excited to be able to just be fully focusing on these classes and not having to balance responsibilities. And on the other hand, I wish I was working so that I had the experience of being in a library in a more higher level setting. And so that's something that's very unique to me, but I'm sure if other people are interested, there's probably a lot of people who are in a similar position, and it is hard because there's days where I'm like, I just wish I was working, and there's days where I'm like, I'm so glad that I'm not working and that I'm able to fully focus on school. So that's one of my own personal issues that I'm dealing with, is just feeling torn. And it's like, I couldn't get a job right now if I wanted to because I don't have a car. I am working on getting my license. I've made it further than I ever have before, so I'm very proud of myself for that, and I am working towards that. But even once I get my license, it's like, do I want to go out for a job right away? And then part of that is also that the number of library jobs that are available are dwindling. Library science as a field and becoming a librarian is hard in a way that I think is unique to this field because a lot of librarians, it's not like a very physically demanding job. in most ways. And that then leads to a lot of librarians staying in their jobs for years. Like, because this is also seen as like a retirement job where like teachers will retire into being a librarian, where they're still doing like what they love, just in a new, less physically exhausting way. And so it's really hard to find openings because a lot of people just stay in the field like for their entire lives until they're like honestly past retirement age and like just like physically cannot work anymore. So it's hard to find openings because they're few and far between, because people just stay in these jobs forever, which is a testament to how wonderful the library sphere is and how amazing that these jobs are, that people want to stay forever, which again is fantastic. And I'm not like hating on people for staying in their jobs because they love them, obviously not, but it just makes it harder to then find a job. So when job postings do come around, it's like, I should be jumping on this, I should be doing this now, but I can't because I can't get myself to the job. But also, if I knew if I did that, I would have to severely scale back how many classes I'm taking. So again, with that double-edged sword, I will be mentioning that a lot because a lot of things are like good on one hand, not so good on the other hand, which I feel like just how everything in this field is going right now. So there's that, but then it also just, again, makes it harder to get into these positions. So when you see them, it's like you want to jump on them, but then also being in these classes and seeing how many people are enrolled in these classes, it's like all of these people are trying to go into this field. So it just feels like, wow, there's a lot of people trying to get not a lot of jobs, and so that's scary. But I feel like that's how it is in every field right now, where it is just really hard to get hired. Like, even if you're applying for jobs, people just aren't getting hired, and it's very scary. And I'm very privileged, again, to not be having to look for a job right now, but it's still scary because it's like, I don't know what the future is going to look like. And that's kind of a lot of why I'm making this video, is that I don't know what the future looks like, and no one does, right? But this field, it's just, I have worked my entire life, it feels like, to get to this point, and it looks nothing like I thought it would. So I'm just dealing with a lot of like disillusionment, I guess, and I just wanted to come on and talk about my thoughts because that's why I made this channel. And I think this transitions into my next point of comparison with my classmates. Grad school is very interesting and very different from undergrad in a lot of ways, but when you're in undergrad, especially on campus, living on campus, a lot of the people that you're interacting with and that you're in classes with are the same age as you, have the same level of experience as you, are just like in very similar life stages as you. And now in grad school, especially in an online program, everyone is at very different life stages. Like, there are parents, grandparents, people who have been in the field for years and are deciding, well, now I want to like fully be a librarian and not just work in the library sphere. I want to be a librarian. There's people who have like management positions, people who work like as teachers and are transitioning over. And so it's like, there's people who have so much more experience than me, not just in the field, but like life experience. And so it feels like, well, what am I doing here? Like, what right do I have to be here when these people have so much more experience in so many ways than me, you know? And so it's really just trying to like keep telling myself, no, you belong here. Like, it's fine. You got into this program. You're taking these classes. You have good grades in all of your classes. Like, you are doing the same thing as everyone else. Just no one's path is the same. And I have to keep reminding myself of that. But it's hard, especially when I think about getting a job in the future. I'm like, these are the people that I'm going to be going up against, and they have so much more experience than me. So just trying to remind myself, like, it's okay. And I think this is a message for everyone. Do not compare yourself to other people in your classes. It's really hard to not do that. It's so much easier said than done. But like, genuinely, it is so easy to deteriorate your mental health just by comparing yourself to the other students. And that's the thing. It's like, they have their own experiences and I have mine. I bring a lot to the table as well. And so just having to like remind myself of that, it's hard, yes, but also I think in a way it's a good thing because it like pushes me to be better and do more and be better in my classes. So again, with a double-edged sword, where it's like, yes, I'm comparing myself to them, but it's also pushing me a little bit further. So it's just very complex. I've been feeling a lot of complex emotions. So I feel like it's just, I just need to remind myself and hopefully remind you that like comparison truly is the thief of joy, and it makes everything so much harder. And instead of comparing myself to my classmates, I need to realize that we are a community all in this together, and we're all truly working towards the same or similar goals. And so having a sense of community rather than comparison is for the best. However, leading very nicely into my next point, there is such a lack of community in an online grad program because, again, when you're like in school, on campus, going to classes physically and in person, you're seeing all these people. You have like set days of the week where you're going to see them, and you can like have little conversations before and after class, and you have like in-person discussions, and none of that exists in an online program. Students are only as accessible as they make themselves, and a lot of times that means that they're not accessible in the slightest because they have to choose to make their emails, their school emails, public to anyone who can like click on their name and see it. And most people don't do that because it's kind of hard to figure out how to do it in the first place. So it's like there is really no community. Like, yes, we have like discussion posts that we do, and so like we talk to people through there, but it's not the same as like having an in-person discussion. And so it can feel very isolating and very lonely. And so there are ways to like combat that. Like, most schools have a student chapter of the American Library Association that you can get involved in, and like they typically host events. If your program is online, they usually host them online, but again, they're only as active as the members are. So I feel like it goes back to the saying is like, in order to have a village, you need to be a villager. And so it's like really trying to embody that, but at the same time, it's like I can put all of my energy into this, but if no one else is reciprocating, then it's just me. And so that can make it really hard, especially because really the only way we have to communicate is email, and that's just not the most efficient or friendly way of communicating. You know, it feels very like cold and professional, and so it's just hard to have a community when the classes were not set up in a way to host communities, you know? Now, I will say that one class that I'm taking in the fall does have 3 times in the semester we will meet as a Zoom class to actually like interact with each other, which I'm really looking forward to, because just like having that interaction just seems so lovely. And I didn't realize how much I would miss that. It's like in the back of your head you're thinking, yeah, it'll be different, but you don't realize like how different and how isolating it'll be until you're in it. And so it is really hard, and like it sucks that this was my only option really, unless I wanted to move out of state. But I didn't want to do that because I want to work here. I love this state. I love living here. I know that I want to live here and work here for the rest of my life, so I didn't want to go somewhere else and then pay the out-of-state tuition, which we'll get to. But it just sucks because it's like this was really the only option open to me. And yes, I'm having a great time, and yes, I'm loving my classes and my professors, and I've met a lot of great people through the classes that I recognize their names when I see them pop up in my discussions, but I don't know them, you know? And so it just kind of sucks that I don't have that community, especially with what I had in undergrad as a women's and gender studies major, where the program was so small and we all knew each other and we all interacted. We had like department like lunches, and we'd all get together and like have such a true sense of community. To not have that at all has been jarring, but I'm making the most of it. I am in the student chapter of the American Library Association. I'm doing everything I can to foster a sense of community. It's just a lot more work when it's online. And that leads into my next point. I'm really doing a very good job of rolling my points over, but like this was truly my only option. Like, unless I wanted to go out of state, which I know I didn't want to do, because my original goal was to work while I was in school, which would be even harder if I was out of state, because then I couldn't be learning how to drive to then get my license. So it's like, I know that this was the best option for me. It just sucks that there weren't other options. And then being an online program, the tuition is still astronomically expensive. Like, tuition for any secondary education is ridiculously expensive as it is, but then for like truly like post-secondary education, like as a grad student, it is ridiculously expensive. Like, paying my tuition, like, it hurts. And what hurts even more is that like this is my dream. This is all I've ever wanted to do, and to see how much it cost, like financially, emotionally, like it just is rough. And it's really hard, especially because there's not that many funding opportunities. Like, I'm going to be so honest with you, there really aren't. There are a few, they're just so few and far between and so hard to get that they practically don't exist to most people, especially if you're like already working. Applying for scholarships on its own like is like a full-time job. It is so much work, especially when you have to like really like hunt them down, because I know the American Library Association gives out scholarships, but they're really hard to get. Like, I applied and I had a really strong application, like, not to toot my own horn, but like it was a very strong application and I got nothing. And so there's scholarships through the school, but like, again, because there's so many people in this program, the opportunities to get funding are few and far between. And then on top of that, because it's an online program, there are no like fellowships or graduate assistantships because it's fully online. Like, you can probably try and work with the school to like make some, but they don't just exist on their own. And so it's like a huge source of funding that usually exists in grad school just doesn't really exist for me. And that really sucks. And on one hand, it's like, wow, this is awful for me personally as someone trying to afford this, and for the students, any student who's trying to afford this. But at the same time, I know that the reason there's no funding is because libraries themselves don't have funding. Libraries just keep getting their funding cut and cut and cut to the point where they're working with like bare bones funding. So they definitely don't have funding to give to people coming into this field or working to get into this field. And so it sucks because it's like, yes, there's no funding for me, but there's no funding for libraries either. And that's another reason why this is so scary right now, is because I could graduate and have done like amazing things. Like, I could have internships, I could have like so much experience like within the course, I could have done amazing things, have great projects and an amazing master's portfolio under my belt, and there'd just be no jobs open because if library funding keeps getting cut and if we continue on the path that we're going on, there's not going to be any jobs available. And so it makes being in this field right now very scary, because it's like, I am loving my classes. I'm having an amazing time. I love my professors. I love the assignments I'm doing. It's so amazing to finally be doing assignments that I really see the application to what I want to be doing, but not knowing if what I want to be doing is going to exist by the time that I have the credentials to be able to do it. That is really scary, because you have to get a master's degree to become a librarian. But by the time that I graduate next year or the year after, will libraries even look the same as they do right now? And knowing that like there's nothing that I as an individual can truly do, because like I cannot fund libraries single-handedly. I don't even have a job right now. I definitely can't do that. So it's just like trying to just like continuously create awareness for libraries needing our support and needing our help to just get attention to get the funding they need. So like, this is your sign. If you don't have a library card, go get one. Go visit your library. Tell your librarians that you appreciate what they're doing, because it's so hard right now. And it's just like, you walk into a library and you look around and you're like, this space is so amazing, but like it's at risk. And it's so scary, because they shouldn't be. Libraries are like the last places that should be at risk. They are like the true like homes of democracy in our country. And it's just so scary, especially because it's not even just funding that's getting cut. It's like censorship and book bans. And it's just like libraries are getting attacked from every angle. And as a student, it's so hard. I was in a webinar the other day with library professionals, and I asked, like, as a current grad student in library science, like, what can I do? And everyone went silent, because they were like, we don't know. Like, it's like they barely knew what they could do other than just like raising awareness and like continuing to show up. But like, as a student, when you're not even like fully in the library at the moment, it's really hard. So that's why I keep making these videos, because if even like one more person sees this and is like, oh, I should go to my library, that's amazing, because truly what we need is people to just continue to show up for their libraries and continue to support them, so this field will exist by the time that I'm done and the time that everyone has graduated and is ready to take on the mantle. And the thing is, on one hand, like, this is awful, this is horrible, like there's not really a bright side of this, but there kind of is, in a way that it's like all of the people who are taking classes right now are getting an education during a time where libraries are just constantly being attacked, and so we are being educated on how to fight those attacks in a way that a lot of librarians haven't. They've just had to figure out what to do as those attacks roll in, and we are currently being educated on how to do that. So it's like, we are invigorated, we are ready to take this on and to fight this. We just don't have the resources to do it right now. So it's kind of awful all around, but there are silver linings, and the silver linings are that we are ready to take this on and we are ready to make a change and make a difference. We just need to be given the resources to be able to do so, is really what it comes down to. So I don't want to end this video on a negative note, because there are a lot of positives. I'm truly loving my experience. Like, it is the best thing that I've ever done. I am having the time of my life. I even just keep telling people, it's like, yes, I loved my undergraduate experience. It was wonderful. I wouldn't change it for the world. But this, doing assignments where, like, as I'm doing them, I'm like, yes, this is something I will be doing in my day-to-day life. I can see the application to what I will be doing. These hands-on assignments are just so wonderful. And to finally be doing what I've worked literally my entire life to then get here and do, it's amazing. I just need the field to continue to exist in a positive way when I'm actually ready to enter the field. So there is a lot happening, and it is scary, but at the same time, I know that we'll be okay, because I know that there's people like me in this program across the country who are fighting to make positive changes. And so I think really what I want this video to be is a beacon of light. It is very scary right now in so many ways, but I need to remind myself and to remind everyone else that, like, there is hope, because we have hope and we will not let that go. Like, I have hope in humanity, and I have such a strong belief that we will be okay, because there's people like me and like you who are willing to make those changes. And like, yes, again, it's so scary, and the unknowns are really the scariest part, because like, I don't know what the field will look like by the time that I get there, but I also know that no matter what it looks like, I am willing to put in the work and make it the place that I've always envisioned it to be. And I know that I'm not alone in that, and that's really what gives me hope, is knowing that it's not just me. There's an entire college full of future librarians who are ready to make a change and be on the front lines and fighting for those changes. And it's just such a wonderful thing. And I was talking about how there's like kind of a lack of community, but at the same time, there's like this inherent community where we all know that we're fighting for the same things and we share common values. And that is something that is so wonderful. Like, in my discussions, there's a lot of things where we're talking about like ethical dilemmas and like really like broad big issues, but we're all in agreement in that, like, us as librarians, we are there to help. We are going to do everything we can to disseminate information to whoever needs it. And so just seeing the overarching willingness to help in these future librarians is just so refreshing, and like everyone is just so invigorated and so ready to make a change. And that to me is just really comforting, and I know that things will get better because we will make them better. So yes, the field of library science is scary right now, and there's a lot of unknowns, but at the same time, the one thing that we do know for certain is that we will not let libraries go anywhere, because we simply won't let it happen. And so knowing that, and like having that just like deep rooted sense of we're not going to let anything bad happen to our libraries, because they mean so much to us, to our communities, to everyone who uses them, and we will be there to fight for them, is such like an incredible feeling, and like really does bring us all together and create a sense of community underlying, yes, and not as in the forefront as I'd like, but it's still there, and it is very wonderful. So if you're thinking about going into the program, I would recommend it, obviously. However, I would also be wary, keep your eye out for literally everything, and just know that it's scary, yes, but it will get better, and you will be the one making a difference. And if you're currently in a library science program, I would love to see you comment and create a sense of community here, and also just thank you for being here. Thank you for being willing to take up this fight. It's not a fight that we wanted to take on, but it's one that we know we will, because we're not letting anything happen to our libraries, and we're not letting them go anywhere. So this kind of got a little preachy here at the end, but I love libraries so much, and I want them to continue to exist in the way that they did for me, because libraries are truly just such amazing places, and I love them so much, and I want them to continue to exist for future generations. But I also know that like they won't if we don't fight for them. So that's what I'm here doing, is just I'm always going to show up for libraries, and I hope that you will too. So really, I hope what you got from this video is that yes, things are hard, but they will get better because we will make them better. So I hope that you will make them better with me. This video was really just a way for me to process my own thoughts and feelings, and also share them with you, because like I said, I had people commenting thinking about joining the field, and I can't just pretend it's all sunshine and rainbows. Like, I need to be honest, especially because my semester starts next week, and I'm going to be doing like a week in my life in grad school, and I'll probably be super excited and really like jovial for those classes, because I'm really looking forward to the classes I'm taking. But I also want you to know that like it's not all sunshine and rainbows all the time. It is scary and it is hard, but there's so many good things, and there's so many things to be thankful for, and so many things to be proud of, and I want to focus on those while also tackling the bad, you know? So I hope that you got something from this, and that it opened your eyes to something, or that you are now invigorated, empowered to go to your library, check out a book, get a library card, say thank you to a librarian. Whatever form of action you can take is really appreciated. And even if it's just like going on your library website, even just like the traffic on the website is really helpful. The smallest things are really so helpful, because libraries, they get their funding through people showing up for them. And so going to their website, just like clicking around on a few things, just going into the building, checking out a book, even if you have no intention of reading it, checking it out. Most libraries are now on a system where the books automatically renew, and most libraries have done away with fines. So there's really no losing in it for you. So anything you can do is greatly appreciated, and I'm just so happy to have you here. Thank you so much for watching this. Thank you so much for being here and caring, and because caring is one thing that you cannot force people to do, so thank you. I hope you like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to see you in another video, hopefully a little bit on a lighter note soon. Bye.